Hello, YouTube. This evening I went and took a shower, and while I was in the shower, I began to pray, and I began to ask the Lord that as I was cleaning the outer man, that He would clean up the inner man, that He would purge all that was contrary to His word and His will for my life. When I came out of the shower and went into the room, into my bedroom, I began to know that the Lord was once again bringing to my mind something that I needed to deal with, and I needed to deal with it now. On December 15th, I put out a video entitled, "He is a prideful, arrogant, deceptive, manipulating, and unrepentant man." The very next day after making this video, there was a heaviness that was all over me, and in my heart of hearts, I knew what that heaviness was. It was the Lord, and I think that He was telling me then what I had done was wrong. Although my motives for putting out the video were in part pure, upon reflection, my motives really were impure. As some of you know, I used to be a moderator in Robert's Pal Talk room, and without notice or explanation, he removed me along with a few others. And that's okay. It was his Pal Talk room, and so, he had the right to do with it as he wanted to. But I allowed pride to get in the way of my peace. After making that video on the 15th, I received some pretty harsh comments. I wasn't surprised, I was actually expecting them. But what was so disturbing to me was the many comments supporting and praising me for the video. It was then I knew something was not right. I did not make the video to heap praises upon myself. I had tried to speak to Robert a couple of other times in private about some things that I felt were not right, but was not received. And I think that heaped on top of everything else a spirit of rejection. I thought this was the only way to possibly get my message to Robert. I know the underlying motive for the video was revenge. We all remember the story about King David. When King David saw Bathsheba bathing on the roof, he lusted after her so much so that when he sinned with Bathsheba, he wound up having Uriah killed so that he could have Bathsheba for himself. Well, we know that God sent the prophet Nathan to David. Did God first send Nathan throughout the land shouting out the sins of David? No. God sent Nathan to King David. Now, if Nathan had gone to King David and given the word of the Lord, and David would have rejected that word, should Nathan have tried to figure out a different way to get the message across? No. At that point, I think Nathan would have just gone his way. Because you see, ultimately, at that point in time, it's between David and the Lord. Nathan did what he was supposed to do. Nathan did as he was supposed to do because God sent him to do it. In 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 13, we see David's response to Nathan's message, which demonstrates that God's ways are effective and we need not seek another way. And here we read, "And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord." You see, David sinned against Bathsheba. David sinned against Uriah. David sinned against his own people. But ultimately, David sinned against the Lord, and he knew it. And David confessed that he had sinned, and he repented, and he was restored. The Holy Spirit has the responsibility to bring conviction when we sin. It's not my responsibility, and it's not yours either. There's an old saying, those who live in a glass house should not throw stones. But I like the words of Jesus better. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 through 5, Jesus said, "Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. It should be enough for me or anyone else to continually evaluate our own lives and remain in right standing with the Lord without thinking that we have a responsibility to evaluate the lives of others. Now, I've said all of that to say this. I publicly confess to all of you that what I did in putting out the video, he is a prideful, arrogant, deceptive, manipulating, and unrepentant man, was wrong. It was done out of an unrepentant bitterness, unforgiveness, and pride, and not at the direction of the Lord. I have confessed this to the Lord and have asked for his forgiveness. I know I cannot go into the airwaves and take back the words which I have already spoken. But if you see this video, Robert, I publicly apologize to you for believing I had any right to stand in judgment of you or anyone else. Robert, I am asking you for your forgiveness. For those who have supported this video, I apologize to you as well. I did not make this video for the praise of men and women. It was done out of a spirit of bitterness and pride and unforgiveness. I should not have exposed you to my spiritual weakness. And lastly, to any who might mock me for this retraction, for those who may look at me as though I am weak and I am compromising, I'm sorry for not being who or what you think I should be. I want to be a man after God's own heart. I want to be a man of God. And to do this, I cannot be a man pleaser. If I were the man of God I profess to be, when the temptation to make the video came to my mind, I would have cast it aside. I have removed the video, and I pray I never take it upon myself to stand as judge over anyone. God is perfect in his ways. God is able to do all things. And if someone is falling short of the mark, God is well capable of sending the Holy Spirit to get the message to the one that is falling. So I believe that the Lord has forgiven me, and I do ask for your forgiveness. And I just want to move forward from this point. I want to be a man of God. One day I want to hear him say to me, well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter into your rest. God bless.